Brunch Culture.
We want to talk about faith. We want to talk about politics. We want to talk about race. We want to talk about pop culture. Literally,
everything
is up for discussion, and that's what brunch culture is about.
It's about a thing. Feel real good. Wave your hands in the air and lick 2 shots in the air.
Brunch Culture. Brunch Culture. Brunch Culture. She's Lisa V.
And he's Randall Keith.
And this is another episode of Brunch Culture, the show where everything is up for discussion.
Yes, definitely Nicki Minaj, because I need her to pay back our loans.
All of the student loans.
Because I don't want to just be selfish with the payback.
Well, I appreciate you for including me in the hour, but we are exclusive around here, and so we got to take care of ourselves, and then we're going to take care of everybody else. So when we say our, we're talking about your loans and my loans collectively, and then we're going to advocate. You know, we're going to advocate for everybody else to get theirs, but we just got to make sure we get ours first.
Once our balance is clear with NailNet.
All the way clear. Because I don't know how much longer they're going to let me do these deferments. I'm out here trying to make it.
You know, what was crazy is I sent you the link of she was on Ellen telling her how she was going to start the foundation. Ellen gave her $25,000. I'm like, Ellen, now, listen, that's not going to pay... Really,
I don't really
one person. Like,
did Ellen go to college?
I don't know.
I say this because I'm like, you know, because Nicki Minaj paid something like $20,000, and every little bit counts. So we're not gonna discredit nobody's pocket. Well, I'm not, but you know, I was just thinking, like, do y'all realize how much student loans really, like $25,000? Like that might not be paying off one person's loan, like maybe a portion of their loans, but. You know, if you went and got like a master's degree, some people are getting like doctoral degrees, law degrees. That's a lot of money. Like some people are paying like $250,000 plus for an education.
Yeah, I don't think they understand.
I think we need to start with some millions. Like, you know, we can donate to some other things with some millions. Let's pool our resources and slide some millions over to NailNet on my behalf with my name.
Yeah, because I'm always down with the post scholarship fund.
Wait, did you hear that the cast of Love and Hip Hop Atlanta gave out scholarships? Well, what they consider scholarships to graduating high schoolers in Atlanta, and they gave them $295 checks.
Wow. I saw Mimi handing out a check online, but I think that it was for more. I didn't look at the price. Wow. I didn't look at the amount.
So I was listening to Ricky Smiley.
That's not even books.
That's not even, and that's what they said. They said they were supposed to be giving out book scholarships for kids that were graduating, going to college. $295. And my question was,
in all fairness, they don't get paid that much.
The other $5, you can't just round it to a good $300. Like, did you go get a Happy Meal with the other $5? Like, why you just couldn't give me $300? Like,
they couldn't put their money together to make it even.
$295 was so specific. Like they were talking about on Ricky Smiley. They were like, yeah, they gave everybody, each student got $295 scholarship. I'm not sure that, and they gave it to them on the, you know, the big checks that they have with people's name on. They say they gave them on like it was like a miniature.
That's why I thought it was more, because I saw Mimi giving out a check, and I just assumed it was more. I didn't look at the amount. I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry. Oh gosh, I can't discredit these people's service because service knows no amount. But $295. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you know, I'm really starting a movement because, you know, I want the mega nonprofit to help people pay their student loans back.
Right.
This postgraduate loan is amazing. This is how we pitch it, you guys. Because if anybody listening want to get on this bandwagon with us, you already guaranteed. See, when you give to a scholarship fund, you're taking a risk that they're going to finish. With us, we already finished. So you're just getting a definitive return on your investment. You see what I'm saying? You see how that's better?
I found the article. And this is the saddest thing. They knew it was a scam, so they didn't even put the dollar amount on the check. The check says Columbia High School senior dues. Oh, that's what it was, for senior dues. And it says memo scholarship. You know, I usually have a dollar amount. It doesn't have it.
Oh, so it wasn't for college. It was for them to pay their dues.
It was,
okay. That's
maybe
better.
That's why I was specific. Where the
yeah.
Pay their
See, that's better.
$295 though.
But do you see what I'm saying with the postgraduate scholarship though?
Okay, with postgraduate scholarship, what's happening? I was just so enthralled at the fact that somebody rolled somebody a $295 check.
Like,
talking about a scholarship, like
I'm saying that this is the thing. When you give money to a scholarship organization, you're taking a risk that the students aren't going to graduate. You know, people get scholarships all the time and don't graduate. You give us the money, we've already graduated.
And you're boosting the economy.
Yeah, I feel like that's a better way to give scholarships. You know, you give me the money back that I already fronted. So you already got it. I got my degree. I can show you both of them. And you could give the money to the loan
This is
people.
a great idea.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And that's what I was going to say. You don't even have to give it to me. You just have to give it
Create a nonprofit and send the checks to the financial institution on behalf. So the people that give to the nonprofit get their tax write-off. And you just pay the loan. And
you get recognition. We got social media. You know, we can tell our followers to listen to your music or buy your album. I think it's great. I think it's a really good idea. Shout out to Nicki Minaj for getting this kick started.
Yeah, and I hope she gets a lot of money, because what she's working with now, I don't think she's going to get a lot of people to be helped.
Well, maybe she will once it actually gets officially started. She said by year end she's gonna have it. So
yeah. I'm just staying tuned to her Twitter.
So you're her friend now. You're a follower.
Yeah, everything we said about Remy Ma is just.
I never even. I went back and removed that episode. And I never even said anything about it. I never even heard that song. Who Remy? Who? What?
What?
I don't know anything about that. I don't need no frauds. That's all I know. I don't need no drama when you call. I know that much. None.
So yeah, Nikki, holler at us for real though. Like, we like those little kids. You know, they show pictures when kids be starving. We hold up our payments with a sad face. Like,
I'm waving the white flag. Come on, just come on.
So this week, something else really was interesting. These rompers. What is it? Is it rompers or romp? I don't know. I'm confused. So
I think the official name of it is, I don't even know if that's the official name, Romphims. But maybe that was just a play on words that people were trying. That sounds weird, but that was everywhere. Everybody's talking about this whole rompers, and if dudes should wear rompers or dudes shouldn't wear rompers. If they wear rompers, how does it look? It's questioning their manhood. They look gay. They look straight. I was over the whole thing. It's so funny though, because when I first saw the very first article, I remember looking at it and being like, well, you know, I don't think, I'm a person that believes that clothes are made for certain body types. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think that's necessarily made for me. If somebody want to wear it, if the guys obviously the guys that are wearing it, they feel like it's cool, but you know, it's not for me. And most of the guys that were wearing it, they were younger guys, but I feel like they had dad bods. So I was like, you know, I mean, I don't necessarily.
Dad bod. Can you break that down? I'm not sure what that is.
So yeah, it's a surprise. You listen to I got it from Charlamagne. Charlamagne talks about it a lot. So it's basically whereas the guy is not necessarily fit, but he's not out of shape too. He's just shaped like somebody daddy. He might have a little gut that kind of protrudes.
Oh, okay,
gotcha. So it's so you're not super fat, but you're not like necessarily fit either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he calls it a dad bod. So it's like, oh, you got a dad bod, whatever. So for me, I was like, this is made for a particular type of person. What it appears is made for a particular type of person that's just like, yeah, just I don't want to say that's out here not caring, but for lack of a better, that's what I thought when I initially saw it. I was like, hey, you know, I mean, people just want to be comfortable. That's what I'll say. People just want to be comfortable. And so I was like, oh, you know, whatever. Then it started this whole, I kept seeing it on all of social media. Of course, talking to friends and then bringing it up. And I'm in this, a group chat, and a group of friends start talking about what does it mean. And some people are like, oh, well, you know, it's rompers. They're made for women. It's so gay. Dudes look suspect. And for me, it's like, okay, here we go. Like, I think people don't realize that, number one, a romper is like a closed top version of overalls. Mm-hmm. Nobody would have a problem with a dude walking around in some overalls, or overalls that are shorts, but it's like, oh no, these rompers, they look so gay, they look so this, yada yada yada. Mm-hmm. It's like fashion and styles, like, they're recycled. And back in the day, your daddy or granddaddy was rocking some bell bottoms and, you know, high-waisted pants and, you know, rings on every finger. Like, it's just like somebody's style of dress doesn't define their sexuality. Like, what the, like, how do you even get there? Now I'm off. If people be like, no, I don't like it, I don't think it looks appealing. You know, if somebody's like, hey, I don't think dudes would look right or would look right, and it's like, oh, that's fine. But started this whole debate about, oh, dudes shouldn't wear this. And it was one thing I saw which was really interesting. It was like, so people is out here saying that rompers are gay, but your baby daddy got his pants sagging and his tighty whities are showing his butt, but that's not gay. Come on, yo. Like, all right, folks.
I didn't see what the big buzz was about. I don't understand how it got that much attention. And maybe social media, but whoever put this campaign out, when I look, because it's like it's not GoFundMe. It is, I can't think of the website, but they like exceeded their goal like tremendously. I think they were only trying to raise like 20 grand, and they were like at almost 100K. So nice. I mean, it worked in their favor. Like,
wait, so it was like a Kickstarter type thing?
Yeah, I think it was Kickstarter. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, they got the last laugh because I mean, people bought it, so people gave to it. So I was like, honestly, it was genius for the creators.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I just didn't really think it was that big a deal, and I feel like people put way too much emphasis on it. Like, if you don't like it, hell, for dudes, just don't wear it, and for women, don't look at something else, or just don't talk to that guy. Like, don't date that guy. If you think like it's a man code violation or it's not something dudes should be wearing, all right, then just keep it moving. Like, wear what you want to wear. I don't know. It was pretty stupid.
Yeah. So,
but what wasn't stupid and what was pretty dope is all these hand swipes or these curves that Melania Trump is serving to Mr. Donald Trump.
So I saw that, and so I was watching on CNN, and they were talking about the fact that, you know, in some places, I don't know how true this is or not, somebody was trying to help her out, that it's not appropriate for them to be holding hands.
Man, get out of here. That lady I don't want to hear that. No, folks. That lady does not want that man to touch her, at least in those moments. Now, what they do beyond that, you know, I'm not here to talk about it, but in those moments, in the moment of them walking, you know, down that runway, and she clearly like hit his hand, like, get out of here, bro. And even if it wasn't like good for them to hold hands in that place, she could have like grabbed his hand or grabbed his arm and like, you know, went up to him like, that's your husband. It's his wife. Like, it could have been played completely different. And when they were getting off of Marine One, and she's standing there, and he goes to grab her hand, and she like moves her hair over completely, like with the other hand. It was just obviously like, come on. In these moments, she's like, get out of here, bro. Don't touch on me. I'm not here for it.
I know, right? But I think it's funny because I think he hasn't touched her since they had the last kid.
Wait, they don't. I'm finna say something really stupid. Never mind. Don't worry about it.
I thought that was kind of funny.
But
I don't know. I feel like that's the kind of relationship they have. Like they don't have like I just don't see them as like a Michelle and Barack, like love.
And I was gonna say, in all fairness, I too try not to compare them. I remember reading this one thing, and it was by somebody that I probably shouldn't be reading, but they're basically saying like you can't compare people's relationship. People define love differently. They, said if you were to compare the Obamas to, the Clintons or any other of the former presidents in recent years, like you won't see as much PDA likely as President Obama and First Lady Michelle Obama, because of just the time that they lived in and what they represented, and people kind of sensationalized their love because it was like black love and yada yada yada. And so for me, I was like, well, you know what, let me try to be fair. I'm always trying to be fair and diplomatic. So I was like, all right, let me not compare the two. But even when you don't compare the two, even when you just let them stand alone, they don't even seem like friends. Like it doesn't come across like, oh, some relationships, they may not be lovey-dovey, but you kind of have that little thing where you can see this is how we mesh. It always comes across as a little like, yeah, she'll do. Like that's what I get. Like it comes off like, all right, we out here, but I ain't really checking for him like that. Like that's not really what I'm trying to be doing. It's just like, we out here because we gotta be type thing. I don't know.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's such a strange interaction. But his whole get up is strange. Like he just altogether is an interesting person.
Get up is strange. I ain't heard nobody say somebody's whole get up in a minute.
Yeah, his everything about him to me is off. So it's not a stretch for his marriage to be off. I think that's just, he embodies that.
He embodies his whole get up being off. He embodies off. So he should be like, that was going to be real corny. I was about to say, so he should be the face of off. The bug spray off.
Oh.
Badoo. I'm going to be here all night, guys. I'll be here all night. All right.
Open up for the next Kevin Hart stand-up special.
Right. Randall, not funny. Ah!
Yeah, you said some funny stuff earlier. This one just but I have my moments that I'm not,
we're hit and miss. We're hit and miss. Anyway, we got anything else to talk about?
Richard, we definitely want to mention Richard Collins. This was so sad to me. He was supposed to graduate on Tuesday, and he didn't get the opportunity to because a white supremacist stabbed him on University of Maryland's campus while he was waiting on the shuttle bus, and they realized the shuttle bus wasn't coming, so they called the Uber, waiting on the Uber. Dude comes up and just stabs him. Obviously, he's intoxicated, but he's intoxicated, and again he's intoxicated with alcohol, but also intoxicated with white supremacy and hatred. So all of those things working together, he stabs an innocent black man by the name of Richard Collins, who was in the military as well, which was a lieutenant. It was just tragic. I just was like, are you kidding me? Like, he did nothing wrong. He's just hanging with his friends, and this dude comes up and stabs him in his chest. Like, I was really pissed off about that.
Yeah, I didn't even know what to say when I saw it. Like, it was one of those things that, immediately you feel sad, but then you start thinking, like, especially because it happened in this area, in an area that we always think, the DMV area, we think that people are a lot more liberal, and we oftentimes kind of forget the extremities of racism and of hatred, and that when we're talking about things, I feel like sometimes we kind of feel, now I'll speak for myself, sometimes I kind of feel like those types of things happen in like the deep South, right? And those are types of things that while we do have a struggle or issues that we have to tackle in this area, those things aren't as bad. But hearing something like that and knowing that happened to a young person, and it's extremely sad. And then hearing that people are saying, and I just read this headline before we started recording, that it's being said that, you know, that there's not enough evidence to say that whether it was a hate crime or not. And, you know, people don't know the motives of this individual isn't known. But I also had heard before too, that this person had made statements like that, or made statements that were like anti-black, in the past. So it's just, it's ultimately, it's really sad. And it reminds me of why there's so much work to do, and why we have to continue to challenge those people that say, like, you know, I just hate this, or I hate this type of thing about this person, but I'm not a racist, or I'm not a bigot, or I'm not somebody that's going to do this. It's kind of like these types of thoughts or ideals that go unchallenged, that go misinformed, that people aren't saying like, no, this is wrong, you got to do this. It leads to things like this happening. And it's just, I don't know, it's frustrating. It's extremely frustrating. So we definitely, our hearts, our minds, and our prayers are seriously with the family, and with the student body, everybody that has been personally affected by this, that's been personally touched by it, even people that haven't been. I was listening to the podcast Code Switch today. I'll make this really fast, but I was listening to Code Switch today, and Yari, I always mess up her last name. I think it's Yari Shahidi from Blackish. She plays the older daughter on Blackish, Zoe. She said that she was talking about, you know, watching the video, when she watched the video, the live stream of Philando Castile being murdered on Twitter, and she was saying, what our generation now and been consume so much content, and we consume so many bad things that we don't realize how that's impacting us and how that's hurting us. And we see these things, and we hear, you know, you see pictures, or you hear the detailed stories, and it's not even something that you have to go and find. You literally could just be scrolling on your timeline, and this will pop up, and you'll read it or get a glimpse or see somebody commenting on it, talking about it, and it kind of invades your happiness in that moment, your ability to like stay positive. I was, you know, scrolling through a website the other day, and I kept seeing all these like horrible stories, and it was just like, it kind of like impedes on your mood. So anybody that's everybody, I mean, honestly, and it's like, I guess I want to say pray for the world, but that sounds so like, you know, blanket statement and impersonal, but I don't know. Praying for everyone, but specifically praying for us, for Black people, that, you know, as we continue to see these things happen, we continue to stay strong, to stay encouraged, and continue to like love on each other, because that's what we need.
Well, we definitely want to keep the Collins family in prayer. Like Randall said, our heart goes out, and we couldn't even imagine what the family and close friends are feeling at this time. Let us know what y'all think about Richard Collins, about Melania Trump, about Romphims. That was it. Makes me want to say it. Or Nicki Minaj. If y'all know her, tell her to pay off our student loans. We've been saying this for a while. Let us know what y'all think. Hashtag ChatBC on all social media sites, and we'll be back with our main dish. Now we're back with our main dish, and today's main dish is interesting because it was inspired by a situation that I know of.
Womp womp womp.
And I'll give a vague situation. So I knew of a person that I'm trying to say, I can say this without incriminating anyone. They were talking so intently about how wonderful their life was, and how amazing their relationship was with their spouse, and how it was just amazing, and their intimacy was on point. And then I see on social media the split up, but also the bashing of the spouse, because they were saying this person was kind of abusive and mean and standoffish and all of these things. And I was thinking, that's so interesting because you made such a big deal about how amazing they were, and now that the breakup is happened, you're like basically trashing them all over these social media streets. And I was just like, it's a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. And I'm not taking away from anything. He could have been very mean, very nasty, and they were just trying to cover up for that or overcompensate. Right. But it led me and Randall to talk about like what should be shared on social media, like after the breakup. What should be private? Like what should be kept private after the breakup? And I'm a proponent when I say you tell the story differently when you're in a healed place and you're a hurt place. And I think if you just broke up with somebody that y'all been in a relationship for, years upon years, and you like 2 months removed from it, maybe it's best for you not to be sharing it on the World Wide Web. Right. Because you're still in a hurt place. Telling the story from a healed place, you're going to reflect on it differently. You're going to tell it, but it's just the tone. Everything is going to be different about it. Right. And I think if you've been the person that has threw your relationship out there like it was so perfect and for everybody to admire, and then flip and to go Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and then trash the person, I start looking at you sideways. Absolutely. Because I'm like, just don't tell us. Yeah. Don't tell us good or bad. We didn't ask. You volunteered. Didn't even ask. Yeah. And I think that's so interesting. What do you think, Renda?
So I absolutely agree. And I feel like, I try to be fair with people telling their stories, right? Because people, when you share your stories, when you talk about certain things, it's a part of the healing process. It helps you move forward. It actually helps you help somebody else maybe get out of a situation that is not so good, or just think a little bit harder about the situation that they're in. So I'm all for that. But I think that in terms of what should and shouldn't be shared on social media, or how you kind of portray a person, you got to make sure you're giving a full and balanced story, right? Because people getting caught up in either one, the extremely super good and everything's perfect, and the extremely super bad and everything's horrible, it is unfair to actually you both. It's particularly unfair to the other person, whether good or bad, because you're setting expectations by other people that can likely be unrealistic. So, for example, I think that, let's say you're in a relationship and you start saying that, hey, Billy Joe Schmo is perfect. Billy Joe Schmo does everything that you need him to do. He shows up when he's supposed to show up. He praises you. He tells you how great and how wonderful you are. And then 6 months later, you and Billy Joe Schmo break up. And then you're saying like how Billy Joe Schmo was like, just the scum of the earth. He talked about you. He never really showed up. He came, but he was always late. It's like you're saying all these bad things, and likely you're saying those things because they come from, a place of you being bothered, you being hurt, you not being over it. And I don't think that that's fair to Billy Joe Schmo, because you're kind of painting a picture of him to not just to yourself or not to your inner circle, but honestly, in the day of social media, you're painting it to the world, possibly, of him being a certain type of person. And that's just not fair. You know what I'm saying? It's not fair. Mm-hmm. It could potentially impact his career. It could impact his friendships, his other relationships that he has with people. And I think that
mutual friends especially.
Exactly. And I think that if everything is true about how horrible he was, then you have to also acknowledge certain things about certain characteristics about yourself that may have led you to that position. And it's not. I was having and thinking about it and trying to be balanced. I don't want to make it appear like we're trying to say like, hey, if you're a victim of domestic violence or a victim of any type of bad situation, verbal abuse or whatever, that you shouldn't say anything, because you absolutely should. But I think that you have to be very honest about where that's coming from. If this person was consistently this horrible and this bad person, then, let's talk about, or let's analyze, or let's consider what was it about you? Maybe it was just the desire to be in a relationship, or maybe it was just, you kind of being broken in yourself that allowed this person to kind of come in and to live in that space for whatever amount of time. And you feel that it was okay and you accept it. For me, that's a more balanced conversation. That's a healthy conversation. That's something that is gonna holistically, if you are seeking to inspire or to share on your social media so you can help other people get out, you really are telling the full story. You're telling the story of like, hey, I was in that situation and I've realized these things about myself. And then I just personally have a problem. You know me. I feel like social media, everybody uses social media for different things. I was just recently having this conversation with a family member that basically sent me another, cause I get this a lot from people, but that sent me a screenshot of another family member's post and was like, what are your thoughts on this? And for me, I realized people really do use social media for a number of things. Like, and people think that it's great. It's like a diary. You can put all kinds of personal stuff on there. Some people don't. For me, I feel like social media is not meant for you to live your public life. I mean, your life out in public. And I think about it like a celebrity. Let's think about the celebrities that appear to be the most happy, or even just celebrities in general. One thing that they always say is that they wish they had their privacy. They wish that they were able to make mistakes and be able to learn from those in like a private area. And I feel like they do that because they realize when you open certain things up to so much scrutiny, so much opinions, or always constantly having it be talked about or heard about, it's really hard for you to kind of live in what's reality, because you get caught up in the show of it, or you get caught up of what's not real, or being confused with what's real and not real. And I feel like it's the same thing for like a non-celebrity person on social media. Everything's not meant for everybody to comment on, because that's it slows the process. It stops progress. You start to kind of live for the gram instead of living and then, sharing it with the gram or the book if you want to. And so I think that like your relationship to me is sacred, marriage or just dating somebody or in a position where you guys are in a committed relationship, those things it's special. It's between the two of you. And so the details of it don't always need to be broadcasted on Facebook. And I think that you got to be fair and know that, hey, there's this person that I met and this person's really great and really amazing. And it's fine to say that. And then if it doesn't work out, also be like, hey, this person was really great at a period of time and then things shifted, or, this person, was never really great. And I just kind of lived in that facade just because it was convenient to do. But to kind of, 1 month say that this person is amazing and you love what they're doing, and then 6 months later they're being the spawn of the devil. To me, it kind of says more about you than it does about them. Like, I think, we got some other things at play here.
And I think that's why I say share things from a healed place, because you get a time to reflect and see if I contributed anything. I think, in cases of, domestic abuse and people put your hands on you and emotion, those could be, they just have internal demons that they're fighting, that they're projecting on another person.
Right.
That's one thing. But if it's like y'all just don't get along, or y'all vibe not right, y'all want two different things out of life, you gain weight and he wasn't okay with the weight, or vice versa, things like that happen, just normal relationship things, then you gotta, when you share it from a healed place, I feel like the way you communicate it is going to be different.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You might still say, I feel like they had the majority of the blame, but you take some responsibility for it. And then you realize that they're not all bad. Nobody's all bad. Nobody's all good. There are layers to people. And you can say, there was a point in time when we started dating, this was amazing. This started to happen. This started to break down. Maybe I should have communicated more here. I think thus, when you get to a healed place, those are things you start reflecting on. When you start, I see a quote all the time that I think is so good. Never trust your mouth when your heart is bitter. And I think that's good. Something to live by.
Yeah,
when
that's
you
good.
got bitterness in your soul, don't trust your mouth. And in this age, don't trust your fingers.
Twitter fingers will do it every time.
And I think it goes back to that, when people when they haven't cultivated depth in their relationships, you're not going to have anybody to vent it to.
Right.
So then the media or social media or attention becomes your outlet. And you get the wrong kind of attention, and then you just out here looking shady.
You end up making it worse than inadvertently, but still making it worse than what it needs to be. And again, it goes back to the idea of like kind of sheltering and protecting what you put out there. So like reputation, people say like, I don't care what people think, but I think we have to realize, and what social media does is we realize reputation and image matters. It means things. The way that people perceive you, the way that you carry yourself, the way that you put it out, it matters. And no, you can't really care. You can't be so like concerned that, you know, if somebody thinks one negative thing about you, or somebody says something bad, that you're just, you know, out here trying to change who you are. Like, that's not realistic. But I think it is realistic to say that, you know, hey, in my career, or if I'm in my career, or if I'm an entrepreneur in my business, or whatever I'm trying to do, the what I put out there matters. And so if you're realizing that, recognizing that, accepting that, and knowing that, hey, this is something I have to do, it's like, you gotta, if you're gonna share this part of your life and you choose to share it, that's fine, but make sure that it's fair and it's balanced, because that also tells a story about you. You know what I'm saying? That tells your truth. You're trying to expose someone else or put someone else out there, and that also, you know, tells some things about you. So if you want to, if that is the truth, or whatever it is that you're putting out there about that person, if it's true, then, you know, tell the aspect of you that got you there. Tell the part of you that played a role, or maybe encouraged that, or even allowed that type of thing to happen, and have that type of balanced conversation. If you're a person that feels like, hey, I live out loud on the gram, and I kind of put my thoughts and my feelings, and I live openly, and I'm an open book, which that statement is so loaded when I see people make that statement, because it's a lie, because you're not an open book. Like, when you was like jobless and homeless, you wasn't on here telling us about it. So please stop.
And I think, you know, too, I think one of the things we have to remember is that usually when we tell the negative about people to other people, we want those people to not like them as well. And so that's just the reality. But in fact, most people, there's going to be some people that don't like them, but mature people base their relationships with a person off their interaction with that person. Absolutely. And so you're not going to be able to turn the masses against one person.
Right.
And so you're going to get frustrated because the people that you told it to still mess with the people, still mess with the person, still mess with the person, because they're like, well, that's y'all issue. That's not ours. Right. And so, and depending on their level of relationship, they may never see that side of the person that you saw. So I think you have to be okay with the fact that you telling the negative won't turn other people against them. And once I think you have that in your mind, you probably will be less likely to share, because at the root, I think, of this is most people want people to dislike the people they dislike. Yeah. Especially when they've been deeply wounded by that person.
Yeah, we want you. It's the idea of you kind of want company. You want an amen crowd, and you need that. But it's important to find that from the people that care about you. So if you go to your friend is going to have your back, because that's your friend. You know what I'm saying? And your friend is going to likely hear your side of the story, or rock with you for that reason. And that's what you need. But you need people that are personally invested in that, because on social media, you will get the amen crowd. You will get the people that are kind of like, you know, on this one bandwagon, or supporting you in this moment. And then when they hear another side, they flip flop, and then they're on the other side. And then, you know, if you release some more juicy stuff, then they're back. And then you find people that are just kind of here for the show, and just here for the comments, and here, you know, to see how much of a spectacle that you can make. And so I think that when it comes to relationships, particularly, and another thing I wanted to say is like, so I'm a fan of, if you say that you love somebody, and even if you love them in the moment, and you realize that, like, or you love them when you guys are together, and you realize the relationship is going downhill, it's ended. I think it's important for you to really exercise how much you love them when it's over. I think that if you are being abused, of course, and I'm going to say this, and this is the last time I'm going to say it because I feel like it kind of takes away from making the point. But if you're being physically abused, or if you're being emotionally abused, and somebody is like taking your person away from you, or taking your love for self away from you, then that's one thing. But if a relationship didn't work out because you guys don't see eye to eye, even if a person cheated on you, or you found out this person was like out here, doing all this stuff with all these other people, I think you exercise love truly when it's over, when you say, I'm going to love you enough not to try to hurt you in the way that you hurt me. And that's hard. And like, it's not something that's easy to do. It's not something I feel like anybody is just naturally an expert on. We want vengeance. We want to feel vindicated, and we want to feel like, hey, I made you feel, you took my power away from me, so now I'm taking my power back and making you feel this way. But I feel like the true definition of loving somebody and really being able to test how much you love somebody is not doing that in the face of, to whatever degree, being justified in doing so, and being like, you know what, I'm not going to treat you the way that you treated me. Now, I'm not going to let you be out here like telling lies on me. So if I have to defend myself in my position of what happened, trust me, I will. But I'm not out here willingly trying to drag your name through the mud. If people want to know why it didn't work out, it just didn't work out. If you're close enough to me or close enough to us in a situation and I need to have a conversation with you, I will. But to publicly try to tarnish you, I love you too much to do that. I still want you to excel. I want you to get yourself together. And then I think there's a period of time too where that story doesn't need to be told until you actually move through it and move past it. And then, if you write your book in like 3-4 years, 5 years, or, you start making a post about relationships in the past, then you can talk about that space, talk about that relationship, because you're talking about it from a more sound space. And it's okay to say like, I was in a situation where this person was unfaithful, or this person couldn't commit, or, this person didn't uphold monogamy, and talk about, the details in such a way where it's not specifically pinpointing it to a person. And even if the masses know who that person is, you're not doing it in a way where it's like, I'm trying to vilify this person, but I'm really just trying to tell my truth. And I can tell my truth without making this person being horrible. And I feel like that's a safer space, and it's a better space because that allows you to keep your head clear. Sometimes, I'll even be honest now, sometimes I can hear a story about somebody, or I can talk about a situation, and because you've even pointed it out to me, I'll get so into talking about it that it's literally like I'm right back into that moment in that situation, and I'm hyped and I'm going off and I'm dropping F-bombs and I'm saying, cause this motherfucker ain't doing this. And it's like, yo, wait. That happened like 3 years ago. That was like 5 years ago. That was like 10 years ago. You was actually 10 when that happened. You gotta reel it back in. But, I can do that in a safe space with a friend where I'm not making myself look like I'm bitter or I'm crazy or, I'm out to just try to do something. It's like, yo, you know what? I got tied back up into it because I was reliving that moment because those emotions were so real. And I remember feeling that. I remember how that feels. So I got back in there. But if you've put it all out on social media or you told the world about it, literally, somebody can tag you in something or somebody can, make a joke publicly and then you mad and in your feelings. But it's like, you open the door to this. You put this out here. Like, it's no one else's fault that this is here but yours. And so a part of not telling all of the juicy details of your relationship gone wrong when you, once it's at any point in time, honestly, a part of that is really protecting yourself. A part of it is making sure that you're able to, move forward in a healthy and a safe space. And I feel like a lot of times we don't think about that. A lot of times we just, it's freeing and it's fun to cut the fool when a relationship is over or a situation is ending. Like, it is real fun. But
it makes you feel horrible if you really genuinely care about the person. Yeah, because the hurt is signifying that you care. You have deep hurt because you had deep care. Right. So at the end of the day, you still care about the person. And when you make that person look bad, especially publicly, now, you know, when you talk with your friends and you venting, that's a whole different thing. But I vented to you about things, and then came back and, you know, let me retract that. They weren't that bad. But at least I could go back to you as an individual person and say this, you know, X, Y, and Z.
Right.
But if I done typed it, that's a whole nother level. You can't retract that.
Right.
And so we're not saying you can't vent to your friends, but we're saying, hey, this public display of vengeance is very detrimental to you as well as the other individual, but it's going to hurt you deeply. It hurts me deeply even when I share about me being frustrated with the individual to a close personal friend. It doesn't really, it helps, but then especially if I have to retract and I've overstated something and over exaggerated a specific incident, I go back and reanalyze and say, oh, it wasn't that bad. You know, I did do X, Y, and Z and contribute. That hurts me because I care. You know what I'm saying? So imagine that on a level times a billion because you put it to the masses. Like, you don't want that.
Yeah.
You don't. Yeah. You think it's wrong to share details of the relationship once it's over with anybody?
No. I think that's the part. You got to get it out. Like, I don't think... I'm a fan of having, especially when it comes to, like, you know, a romantic relationship. I'm a fan of having your person or your few people. When I say few, I literally mean no more than 3. And I feel like 3 is just a large number. I feel like you have your person and then you have your backup. And that person or those people are the people that you go to and they know, like, a lot of the inner workings of your relationship, but they only know that from the space of, I need help checking me. I need help with you telling me, am I wrong for this? Because you know me, you know how I respond to life, how I act in things. So if we've had an argument about something or disagreement about something, or even if I did something and I'm doing it and it's good, tell me if this is out of character. Tell me if, you know, you feel that I'm like jumping too fast or too hard or giving up too much or losing myself. Like, you need those people that you can talk to and that can be there for you. So I feel like those are the people that you share details with. And, you know, your casual friends, you can talk about things. So, like, if we got in an argument, hey, let's talk about, once upon a time we had this argument, or not too long ago we had this argument, but this is from after we've moved past it and we're over. Like, I feel like it's okay for you to share those types of things, but like, when the relationship is ended, I don't really feel like, I feel like you have your, you know, your select few that you can talk to for help and support. And maybe you can tell casual friends it's over and maybe talk about some of like the surface level stuff that you guys went through. But I don't feel like it's everybody's business to be in that, because really, again, some people are just there for the show. Some people are there for, and not that they're trying to be like super negative about it, but I always say, like, if you're not trying to, if you can't really offer me any type of solid advice, give me a real solution, then like there's really no need for me to tell you details. You know what I'm saying? Like, or once I've gotten a couple or a few different perspectives or points of view, then I don't need nobody else. Like, I don't need everybody kind of opining on this, because what I do need to do is I need to hear from myself. What I do need to do is I need to, especially with a breakup, I need to spend some time praying about this. And I need to spend some time kind of getting centered with my creator and helping me believe in myself or learn how to live life outside of this situation. And I can't get that by having 2,500 thoughts and opinions, or, you know, even more than just a couple that, or with people that are going to help me kind of focus more on myself and not just tell me, well, you know, I wouldn't have did this, or you should have did this, or you crazy, I wouldn't have been there. Like, we had this conversation about me and homegirls, and I feel like a lot of the homegirl opinions, like, all right, we don't need all that. Me and homegirls, like.
Yeah, I try to go to people like, you know, you, like we talked about, you have people for different things, and you know who to talk to for what. And I always know when I want, like, a real objective opinion, or if I just want like to vent and somebody to be mad with me.
Right.
You know, you have like two people, so you be like, well, this person gonna be with me regardless, right or wrong. They just gonna flow with it, and
Right.
you can be dead wrong. They gonna be like, yeah, that's right.
You right, cause
And then you have the person that's gonna be like, nah, you was wrong here. This is the cause of this. They were wrong here. Somebody who's objective. And I think those kind of are the two people that naturally we cling to. We might go to the one that's going to be with us right or wrong, you know, first.
Right.
But then we eventually get to that person that's going to be objective. And so I think, you know, it's okay if I trust this person. Anybody I have in my inner circle, I trust them.
Right.
So I'm going to go to them naturally with this, and I feel like they can give me objective opinions because everybody knows, I feel like, different angles of you as friends. And then when you're dating somebody romantically, they kind of get the full package of who you are,
right,
depending on how long. So then you need people that know different facets of you to hit different angles to say, this is probably what was the issue here from what I know of you. And then somebody that knows you in a different light, or based on, you know, length of time, or just seeing your character patterns, might know a different facet. So I think it's good to get like people that really know you and love you and that you can trust. But social media, yeah, my homeboy said before he proposed to his girlfriend, he actually went back and did a sweep of all her social media, like all the way back to the beginning, to see if she had any shady stuff about exes on there before he proposed, because he said that would have been a deal breaker for him. And I was like, oh, that's smart. I need to take that. I need to adapt that.
I was gonna say that's actually really, really smart and really real, because you'll be out here being the spawn of the devil, the biggest villain, from just a natural ending of a relationship. And like, I don't think any breakup is necessarily easy, but people do things. Relationships go sour, and that's just a part of life. And I feel like you got to get to a point when you're mature enough to know that I'm not finna go on this smear campaign of this person that I was just last week or last month or last year talking about how in love I was from them. Like, yo, they messed up, or they're horrible, or whatever. But I need to have those conversations with my inner circle. I don't need to be around here having those conversations with anybody. So, or
being subliminal, because we all know, like, some people aren't direct, but they're subliminal. Yeah. Like with the memes, if you just start loading it up with memes, and we know that all your partner's pictures are deleted, and then we don't see the pictures no more, and then all your memes be like, God got better for me, or he removed you out of my life, or you know, you can't trust everybody. Like, everybody can't go where you going. That's the most famous. You gotta let some dead weight go in order for you to move forward. Meanwhile, you the weight around here dying, like, or you gotta let go of dead weight, and you like 500 pounds. Like, are you really? I love the one when people on the boat and it's like sharks around that everybody posts. Yeah. It was like, yeah, I'm just chilling with all this. I'm just like, no, like, we all know who you're talking about. You just deleted all the pictures, and then you're gonna post shade, like, be like, oh, I don't put nobody on black. Yes, you do. You just told us. We all know. Y'all know what's going on. You just told us. Yeah, absolutely do. Well, y'all hit us up. What'd you say? Take a sabbatical from social media after a breakup if you that pressed to post. Likely the best advice. Like, please do it. Please do it. Please do it. Because it makes more sense. You know what I'm saying? It really does make sense. Like, allow us to kind of forget that just yesterday you was talking about this being your soulmate and, you know, the best thing that God ever did for you. And I feel like people be running into too many soulmates, and, you know, girls be having like too many like men that God done sent them, and guys be having like way too many ribs. Like, it's just,
There's just so much going on. I'd be confused. Anyway, but y'all hit us up and let us know what y'all think. Use the hashtag ChatBC. Hit us up on Twitter at Brunch Culture and on Instagram at Brunch_Culture. Also check out our website at www.brunchculturebc.com, and we will be back for our Toast or Roast. All right, we're back, and it's time to get into our Toast or Roast. And I'm going to kick it off this week with a roast that may be a little disjointed because, as I mentioned earlier, being online and on social media and just going to the normal sites that I read, a lot of like black bloggers and black blogs, and seeing this kind of still from every corner, you're seeing, black people being killed, black people being shot, murdered, and there's no conviction, there's no indictment. All of these things are just like not happening. And so I don't know. I'll apologize in advance if this sounds disjointed because I just have so many feelings about this. But anyway, so by now, we all know that the murder of Terrence Crutcher, Officer Betty Shelby, was not convicted of his murder. She also was reinstated to the police force. I've read that she'll be being reinstated to she'll be back on the force. She won't be in the field, but she'll be on some variation, maybe desk duty or something like that, on top of the fact that she is going to get back pay for all of the time that she was not working. And I want to say that I'm surprised, I want to say that I'm shocked, but that would not be a truthful statement because, at this point, we kind of just expect the worst, and it's amazing if something happens outside of that, but for the most part, we just expect the worst. And so this is not necessarily shocking. It's extremely upsetting and saddening, but it's not shocking. But what annoys me and what frustrates me is going online and seeing people, and I've seen people that appear to be regular people, not just troll accounts, not just accounts where people are making statements. Like there's a couple like Instagram, gossip sites that I swear that they only say stuff just to get people to go to their site and to comment on it so that they can, get sponsors and all this other stuff. But not those type of people, but people that seem to be, real people, regular people, educated people, sometimes smart people. And to see people have these discussions and debates on social media and read through comments, and you hear people say things like, it's really sad that people don't see the humanity, or don't see that she needs a second chance, or don't see how this is negatively impacting her life, and nobody's talking about what her family is going through, and nobody's talking about how hard it is, and how she had to run from the court after the verdict was read because she knew that she was going to get so much backlash and people are going to treat her poorly and she's in harm's way and all of these things. And they're saying like nobody thought about that. And it's frustrating to me, and for the life of me, I can't understand how we can get to that place without realizing that this man's life is gone. And so while I know that people don't look at black people, or don't look at black lives and black bodies as valuable or worth much beyond entertainment or beyond, fads or what's cool or setting trends, but when you have this conversation and you want to consider her life, and you want to consider the negative backlash that she's getting, and you want to consider, her family and all of these things, you also have to consider the choice that she made, whether that choice was out of fear, whether that choice was a mistake or not. There are so many people that have been punished for mistakes that were legitimate mistakes. For the choice that she made to kill someone, to shoot someone, out of the assumption that he was reaching for a weapon when his hands were up. That the fact that he wasn't following her orders and she didn't see a weapon. She didn't have a weapon in his hand. She didn't see, it's not like there was something that was like coming towards her. Like she didn't see any of that. Literally, it was her fear of him that caused her to pull the trigger and ultimately kill this man. And we're having conversations about how people need to have empathy and sympathy for, what she's going through and all of that. But this is a result of a choice that she made, a decision that she made. Now, I'm not going to sit here and argue about, what led her to do that, which I feel like it's very clear. And for her to say that, it's not race based, but it's like, yes, it's not race based in the sense that you walk around so overtly saying that I want to kill black people because I just hate them. Like, most people don't think that way. And I would argue that most people don't think that way, but it's the fact that you don't address the bias that you have. It's the fact that you don't address this thought that, these type of people that just so happen to look this way are bad, are evil, are dangerous. That's what that bias that you have is what raised this fear. And so I'm roasting, honestly, all of these dumb people that feel that we don't need to consider the Kritcher family and what they're going through and what they continue to go through, and so many other black people that continue to face and go through this. Us seeing these things on TV, us having to have these conversations over and over and over again, and how damaging that is, how much that kind of tarnishes your faith in the system, your faith in people, your faith in, this country that you're born in, that you care about and that you want to see and enact change for. When we see these things consistently happen over and over again, it makes you say like, yo, this is hard. And so the fact that somebody wants you to consider the struggles or the bad things that are happening to this other family without realizing that there was a cause and there's an effect. So like there was an action and then a reaction. So all of these responses that are negative are reactionary to the initial action that caused this, and that initial action that caused this, and you were trying to be justified. I would venture to say that most people would show some degree of restraint or some degree of trying to understand if one were to say, hey, I was really nervous and really upset in that moment and really afraid, and I pulled the trigger and I shouldn't have done that, and I'm sorry for that. But to say that I thought that he was reaching for a weapon and he wasn't following my commands, and so I shot him and he's dead and he is gone, that is final. You've taken someone's life. That's not something that they can get back. These people can't get their brother back. They can't get their child back, their uncle, their cousin. None of these things can ever come back. But here I am having to look at you and to say that I have empathy at the fact that, while you're going back to work and you're getting your back pay, you've gone through so much mental anguish. Well, you went through that mental anguish because you pulled the trigger when you shouldn't have. And, we can have a discussion about why you got there and maybe how society and life put you in that place. But let's have an honest discussion. Don't try to lie and blame the victim, but think that I'm supposed to feel good for you. So I'm roasting, honestly, anybody that can't see that. And again, it's not based on race. I saw one individual specifically that I have an immense amount of respect for and still have an immense amount of respect for, but I completely disagree with her position, that basically had the same thing to say. Like, we can't call ourselves Christians and we are, or people of faith, and we are wanting the worst for somebody else. Like, I can understand saying, if I was on this campaign of she needs to die, because to me, I just don't feel that way. I don't believe in the death penalty, but do I feel that I'm supposed to go around and just feel sorry for her because, things are hard after a decision that she made that took someone else's life, that like literally has no option to live, to make decisions, to do anything? I just can't do that. So I'm roasting Betty Shelby and everybody that just can't see the problem and the flaws of another Black life being taken away unjustly and nothing really being done about it, and a person essentially kind of getting a vacation that was probably a hell of a hectic vacation, but it's still a vacation and you get back pay. Like, where they do that at? That's my
Yeah,
roast.
it's still crazy to me that she even got off and then got work with back pay. It's just like compiling, just insult to injury. I want to roast myself this week. 7 years ago, I knew about Bitcoin. I told my friend, my best friend at the time, we was talking about it, and I was like, man, this is interesting. Now Yahoo Finance produced an article, I think it was on CNBC. It's like a historic high. If you bought 7 years ago, if you bought $100 of Bitcoin, now you would have $72.9 million.
Wow.
I'm kicking myself. It was 0.003 cents. So it was a like a third of a percent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it skyrocketed this week to 21.85 a share.
Wow.
It's like a record breaking trading thing. It's one of those things where it's like I knew about it. I had to text my friend. It's like, you remember when we were talking about Bitcoin? Like, what the heck? Like, we could have been rich.
So that this should be inspiration that you should go out and start investing in some things that are less than a penny now, and hopefully, you know,
7 more years. I know, but it was depressing. That would have really paid off. I would have paid off your student loans, Randall, if I had had
now
that.
I'm mad. Now I'm pissed off at Delisa from 7 years ago, because that was my opportunity to make it. And you just robbed me of my opportunity to. Alright. That's what
Yeah, I was kicking myself all day yesterday. I was like, this isn't real. Like, what the heck? Why? We all miss it. We all miss it sometimes. That's one you didn't want to miss. But we're going to leave y'all with today's good vibe. I need encouragement. Don't let being right talk you out of being kind. Well, I guess that ain't really encouragement, but that's a good quote. Bob Goff.
Well, that's a good quote. It is a good quote. Kudos to you.
Bob Goff said, don't let being right talk you out of being kind. And that's so important, because sometimes you could be right and you can share that information, but remember kindness and gentleness with the way you share it, because, you know, people take stuff better when it's presented in certain ways. And so you can't just throw it at them any kind of way, even when you're right. So I think that's good. I think,
Truth.
you know, yeah, it's true. It wasn't the encouragement that I needed for the depression, but it's true statement that we can live by. So
I was going to really try to pull it out, but I couldn't. I was going to say, well, if you weren't wrong. Well, you were wrong, so now you got to be kind. So you were wrong about not buying the Bitcoin, but now you can be kind about it because it'll help. Does that work? It's not the same thing.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
Well, let's just get out of here.
Well, thank you for listening to another episode of Brunch Culture. As always, you can catch all of our past episodes at brunchculturebc.com. You can follow us and subscribe on iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitcher. We're everywhere. Spreaker.
Everywhere
all
you
of those places.
be.
Yes, really, for real. Not Verizon, because they suck.
Yeah, you gotta let them go.
That's why I should have roasted. But yeah, so follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/brunch culture, on Instagram at brunch_culture, and on Twitter at brunch culture. And remember, here at Brunch Culture, everything is up for discussion.